The Solstice of Heroes is officially live. What's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and today we had the release of Destiny 2 Update 2.5.2. And of course, along with that began the new summer event, or rather end of summer event, the Solstice of Heroes, signaling the last hurrah before Shadowkeep. And while we covered a majority of the details for this year's Solstice of Heroes in a video we made last week, link to that will be in the description box below, by the way, we wanted to give you a quick guide for exactly how you can get started upgrading your armor in this year's Solstice event. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Once you've downloaded the update and logged in, you'll be met with this screen, alerting you that the Solstice has arrived. And of course, along with this, you're going to get two new quest steps. One is to go speak with Ava Levante in the tower, and the other is, of course, for Eververse. Go ahead and load into the tower, speak to Ava Levante, and she will unlock a brand new world space and 3-man activity, the European Aerial Zone, for you. She'll also, of course, grant you your first piece of Solstice Armor. So go ahead and grab all that, head over to Eververse if you want to check out some of the new stuff there and start off on that questline, and when you're ready, head over to the right side of the Solstice Vigil, where you'll be able to start off the new activity, the European Aerial Zone. This is going to be a match-made, Earth-based 3-man activity that'll drop you into this really cool new world space and ask you to complete a series of objectives. These objectives are fairly simple. First things first, it's going to ask you to start taking out some mini-bosses that spawn across the battlefield. You'll have a few minutes to get this done. And when that time runs out, you'll all head back into the middle area where you'll take down the final boss. And this final boss will have different mechanics based on what enemy you're facing. If it's the giant ogre, he's going to have like a little shadow next to him, basically a mini version of him that you'll need to take down in order to drop his shield. And the rest of the mechanics don't really get too much more complicated than that. But there's a lot of nuance to the European Aerial Zone itself. Scattered throughout the battlefield, you'll find crystals. These crystals will match whatever the element of the day is. The first day of the solstice is of course solar, so they'll be orange, and when you pop them, they'll drop elemental orbs for you to pick up. Grabbing these elemental orbs will grant you different buffs based on the element of the orb itself. Solar orbs will basically turn you into a walking dot that burns nearby enemies. Gathering enough void orbs will basically grant you true sight, which is kind of like the Night Stalker's wall hacks. You'll be able to see enemies and stuff behind walls, and will also allow you to become invisible when you crouch. And finally, picking up enough arc orbs will empower you with enhanced speed and the ability to deal greater melee and sword damage. You can also generate these orbs by getting kills with corresponding weapons of the same element or using your elemental abilities. But anyways, spread out around the battlefield, take out those mini-bosses and defeat that final boss. And once you do, the combat meditation will then become a treasure hunt. Because once you've defeated that final boss, several treasure chests will appear across the battlefield. The more mini-bosses you defeated before time ran out, the more treasure chests you'll have here. These will spawn all over the battlefield, and you'll have around 2 minutes to find them all. So, rush around, pay attention to the map where they'll sometimes give you an indicator of where the chest is, and grab as many as you can. The main chest for defeating the boss will grant you Solstice packages, while the additional chest will grant you Solstice key fragments, which you'll be using to open those packages later on. The Solstice packages generally award rare and legendary gear, enhancement cores, and planetary materials. But once your time is run out, that's it. That's the end of the combat meditation here in the European Aerial Zone. And once you've finished up your first one of these, you can head back to Ava Levante, where you can move on to the next quest step and get the rest of your Solstice of Heroes gear. Or you can stay in the European Aerial Zone if you want to farm up more key fragments, or if you just want to complete the challenges that are tied to upgrading your helmet. And that takes us into the final part of the Solstice of Heroes here. Of course, this event is all about leveling up the gear set. Once you've completed this first part of the quest, Ava will reward you with the rest of your drained armor set. And you'll be upgrading this armor set by completing challenges throughout the solar system. Now, each of these challenges is going to be separate per character per class. So the challenges for the Warlock armor are a little bit different than the challenges for the Titan armor and so on. But for the most part, the first step is of course going to be your helmet, and most of those objectives can generally be completed within the European Aerial Zone. It'll just require one completion of that game mode, a bunch of precision kills, and defeating specific enemy types like Fallen, Cabal, or Hive. Thankfully, if you don't want to spend too much time in the EAZ, you can actually just load up into any other location once you've gotten your initial completion and get those quest steps done there. So if you want to head into a lost sector and just go pop heads, you're perfectly free to do that. Your armor set will upgrade once you've completed the challenge across all 5 pieces of gear. changing from the Drained armor set to the Renewed armor set, and then ultimately to the legendary Masterworked Majestic armor set. And of course, there will be different challenges per piece of armor as you move forward. Now, like I said in last week's video, because there's so many different advancement steps for each piece of armor, for each class, for each step of the armor, whether it's Drained, Renewed, or Majestic, I'm not going to be going through all of that in one video. Instead, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below to a thread that tells you exactly how you can upgrade each individual piece of armor. You really don't need any help with that. All you got to do is hover over it in game and it'll tell you what you need to do. And of course, if we find any cheeses that make this come by a little bit faster, you can expect to see those right here on the channel. It's going to be a lot of grinding, but at least we have a brand new activity to do it in. Anyways, completing the initial Solstice quest step with Ava will also grant you access to the Solstice of Heroes bounties, which upon completion will generally grant you key fragments for the Solstice packages, as well as one weekly bounty for a powerful reward. But once you've gone through all that and finished talking to Ava, the quest will complete and you are free to go and grind to your heart's content. Now, it is worth noting that there is kind of a Taken public event that pops up in the European aerial zone during the boss phase. Basically, if you take long enough, some Taken are going to spawn somewhere around the battlefield, and if you go and take them out, they'll drop additional elemental orbs to increase or extend your empowerment. But generally speaking, you don't really need to kill them if you're just trying to get this done and get your chests. There are also a lot of really weird hidden pathways all across the EAZ. And I'm absolutely positive there's going to be some kind of secret found in that world space before too long. But alright Guardians, that's pretty much it for your quick guide to the Solstice of Heroes 2019, the new 3-man combat meditation activity in the European aerial zone, and how you can get started on grinding up these awesome new armor sets. If you want to get a look at what the Majestic set looks like with all the aura and glow and stuff that it can have, you can actually head over to the Eververse store. Go inspect some of the Aura Glow packages there, and you'll get to see what your class's armor will look like when you finally finish all this out. And I gotta say, it looks pretty good. That's definitely gonna be some decent motivation for me grinding forward. Although I'm not too fond of the amount of bright dust it's going to cost ultimately to get your hands on all of this. But alright, that's it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. Are you enjoying the Solstice of Heroes? Do you have any tips or tricks for getting it done a little bit faster or finding some of those treasure chests? I've tried using an EAZ cache ghost to kind of help me see the chest a little bit easier. That didn't really seem to help too much. I haven't tried the old Night Stalker cheese yet though. That class's ability to see resource nodes might actually be super clutch in the EAZ. We'll have to see. But anyways, be sure to let me know how you Guardians feel down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.